Welcome to Back in the Box, your weekly dose of discussions and stories shared about how we felt we were kept in certain boxes in our lives by society and close family members who expected us to sit in a box and stay in it. In our podcast, we aim to lift the lid on all the times we try to break out of the boxes.
I'm Em.
And I'm Z.
We are both British South Asian women and are lifting the lid on all of our personal experiences and doing so as two friends having a light-hearted conversation. And through healing, we're now in a position to be able to talk openly and vulnerably in the hope that you may also be able to resonate with our experiences.
Join us to lift the lid on that box.
In this episode, we discuss what it was like bringing the first Bubba home and being a first-time mum, second time around for us, and also what those really early years were like. So what was your experience like, Z, of bringing your first little Bubba home? How did you feel?
You know what? I think there was a mix of excitement and nervousness because no one really prepares you for that mental exhaustion and ambiguity because you just don't know what to expect. There's like no guidance what to do.
Yeah.
I mean, on my first one, I was quite lucky because I stayed in hospital for a week. Back in the day, you could stay in hospital for a week once you've actually had the baby. They sort of gave you that time where the nurses bathed him, they checked in the both of us. It was like a little mini holiday break, if I'm completely honest with you, sort of thing. It was like, I need a cup of tea, baby needs changing, baby needs bathing. So it was really, really nice. They taught me so much, which actually enabled me to be a bit more prepared when I got home. One of the golden tips for me was to rub breast milk on your nipples before you stop breastfeeding. That stopped them cracking. So that to me was great.
Yeah.
That avoided cracked nipples because I heard of so many mums who actually had like bleeding and I never really got any of that. And you know what? To avoid cabbage was like a big, massive one for me.
Tell me.
So great healing for your breast. So normally your boobs get big because they're full of milk, basically.
Yeah.
They get sore. They get these lumps inside them when you're breastfeeding. You can get a fever as a result of that. But what I was told was to actually get Savoy cabbage, put it inside your nursing bra, and the Savoy cabbage is shaped for your boobs. A perfect shape for any size boob. But cabbage, you smell like a sweaty cabbage all day.
So you mean you had a Cabbage Patch Kid?
I definitely had a Cabbage Patch Kid. I was a Cabbage Patch mama. I would actually say that breastfeeding was drilled into me. It was like breast is best. I think that was the slogan. Breast is best.
It was. I do remember that too. Yeah, breast is best.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was mad. And it was kind of like, that was the only way you knew how to actually give milk to the baby. There was like no such thing as actually giving bottle. This was like taboo. If you gave bottle, you were like not a good mum. That's how I felt anyway. And there was a real push. And my boobs, honestly, they didn't produce enough milk. You know how women actually have the pump and they put it into one of those bags and then hubby can actually feed them at night. I didn't have any of that. You know, my boobs just literally just was enough to feed my baby every 2 hours because he woke up every 2 hours because I wasn't given enough milk. And that sleep deprivation was torture. You know, I was in tears a lot because it was getting up, feeding, go to sleep, getting up, feeding, go to sleep, get up, feeding. And I am ugly tired. Seriously, I am not good tired.
Do you get hungry?
I get angry. I get a lot of things. I am not a good tired person. And that breastfeeding went on for like 3.5 months. I think they kind of say like 3 months is like your cut-off period. That's when they get all the nutrition. So I thought, right, I'm going to pass that by 3.5 months.
Okay.
And, you know, mental torture for me. It was mentally exhausting. I cried a lot. Hormones all over the place. Oh, my gosh. I did not want to do that on my second. I did so much research in terms of all the claims they made for breastfeeding, like the bonding that you actually get, the relationship, and the fact that they grow to be stronger, the immune system is a lot better. Whole load of rubbish. Seriously, those claims were not true. There's no different. So my second one, no breastfeeding, straight onto bottle. To be honest with you, absolutely fine.
Yeah.
She fed so much better. She was so much stronger. She was on the 95th percentile in terms of growth. And growing up, they're both quite close to me. One was on breast, one was on bottle. For breast and bottle, that was like a major turning point for me, particularly for the second, because I did do things differently. But I was also quite lucky because my mum was around for the first 3 months. She was able to help me during the day, which was a huge help. And I think because it was the first grandson in Asian families to actually have a boy,
Yeah.
I think even if it was a girl, she probably would have been around. And they were super excited. But like I mentioned, in Asian families, boys are golden, treated like a prince.
Of course.
And he was totally doted on. You know, when I came out of hospital and I gave birth to him, my first phone call was to my dad to let him know that a son was born. He congratulated me. That was like the biggest thing for me. I felt like the proudest then because all of a sudden, that exclusion from me going for the back door was uplifted.
Okay, you felt accepted into all of the family, and especially having that acceptance from your dad was important and a key for you to be able to have that to get back into the family again.
Yeah. You know, embraced by my dad, to be fair. In fact, that it came from my dad was like massive because I was excluded from my dad for 5 years, which is a long time.
Literally what I was going to say. It's a long time, isn't it?
It's a long time.
And I know that you really had a good relationship with him when you were younger. So that must have been that much harder and that much more exciting when you were now in a position to regain that relationship with your dad again.
100%. I think it lifted all this weight off me. Like, now I feel like I'm included. Much to their annoyance, I would drop my son off every weekend because we would actually be quite adamant that we keep our relationship alive. So, you know, we would set off to London every weekend and leave my son at my mum's, to be fair. I didn't do that for my second, if I'm completely honest with you.
Why was
we did it for 5.5 years, enjoying ourselves, and it got to a point where we just thought, you know, I don't want to live that life anymore.
Okay.
And I was like early 30s by the time I had my second, and there's only so much going out you can do. And I didn't really want to not have that bond and constantly leave my children every single weekend. But how about you? How was it like for you coming home?
Well, I would say again, I was so excited to be able to bring my little Bubba home and also completely scared as well. Like, oh my gosh, now I'm completely in charge and it's my responsibility to look after this new life, this little human being. And very much like you, because we probably had our babies around the same sort of time, I had that opportunity to be in hospital for a week. And what was great, like you were saying, if the baby wasn't latching on, they would show you what to do, and having a bit of more of a rest, really, before coming home. And that was actually really great too, because there were hardly any visitors. It was very close family. So a really lovely bonding time with me and my baby. I remember the nurses used to say, don't have the baby in the bed next to you. Don't fall asleep with them. So secretly on my first night with my baby, I put the curtains round and I just held her on my chest, and it was so lovely. I just really enjoyed it. We got home and it was just really, really lovely. The other thing I think I learned while I was there in that first week was when they were teaching about different cries and the nuances in the cries and faces. Apparently there's all these videos now that you can watch, and it shows you what the different cries are and sounds for hunger, pain, poo and wind. And I never knew these. And obviously you get to know your child, and learning about her and that bonding time was really, really special. Those first few weeks when she came home, I slept downstairs with her in a baby cot as her husband was going to work. And I thought, I don't really want him to be woken up. And he couldn't really help me much. He hasn't got the breast milk, has he now? So he didn't have the man boobs. But again, like you, I didn't realise the extent to what lack of sleep, how it would impact on my body and on my brain. And very much like you, I was up every couple of hours. And who knew that sleep deprivation is like a killer and nothing prepares you for it? As a mother, we have all this love and strength and we just do it without thinking about it. So yeah, getting up every 2 hours during the night and feeding every 2 hours during the day, you don't realise the impact of broken sleep at that time. You just do it.
I would say you do it, but you reluctantly do it. I was just like, oh my God, not again.
It's not very differently. I really enjoyed the breastfeeding part because just looking at her, touching her, like the way that she'd curl her little hands around my finger, I found it a really special bonding time for me. And I really, really enjoyed it.
Whole period you enjoyed it. Did you do it for 3.5 months? How long did you do it for?
I only did it for 6 weeks for my first. I didn't do it as long. And what it was, I didn't really want to breastfeed in front of male relatives. And I did feel more comfortable with female relatives. But again, in-law females are still not like your own family. Whopping the boob out is a little bit uncomfortable, isn't it? So you do it. I mean, I did it in public as well with a cloth over the top because when you're breastfeeding, you can't be imprisoned in the house. You've got to get out as well. But with it came that frustration for my in-laws that when they came round to see the baby, I'd be upstairs breastfeeding. And they didn't like that. They were putting that constant pressure. Well, she's feeding every 2 hours. That means you can't be producing enough milk. All of these things that trying to box me into giving up, like trying to control the narrative for me. But it just got so uncomfortable. I mean, I didn't even have the support of my husband about it at the time. So I thought they talk about, yes, definitely have the first milk, 6 weeks minimum, 3 months best. And I thought, I'm going to get to 6 weeks. And then after 6 weeks, I started giving the bottle. And actually, I still breastfed during the day and bottle and then started mixing it. But she slept much better with a bottle. And I thought, actually, what is wrong with the bottle? All of this information that you read, and she seemed happier. So I didn't feel so guilty because we get this guilt. Are we doing the right thing as moms, don't we? That based expectations based on those boxes of, what should a good mum be like? You know, what should you do as a good mum for breastfeeding? And the second one, who was preterm, well, she didn't have the strength to feed off my breast. She was teeny tiny, and I was given a breast pump. And again, the message was the first milk is the most important milk because it has all the antibodies. And if you can only do that for a week or 2 weeks, try for at least a week. But if you could do it for a little bit longer, absolutely fine. But then we'll go on to just normal baby milk. And I thought, these are the most vulnerable babies. And they're saying it's okay. So I used to freeze my little bottles of milk and she'd have it through a syringe and her tube in the baby care unit. And with breast pumps, your milk dries up a lot quicker because you're not obviously producing all the time. It's supply and demand with boobs. So I probably only did it for about 3 weeks. And then she went on to milk, and I have no regrets. When you see your children all grown up, these things seem so big when they're younger. And because of all of those expectations that are put in place by medical, but not only that, expectations of other mothers, older people around you of what should be right, shouldn't be right. I look at them now, they're amazing human beings. Did breast or bottle feeding impact them? No.
It makes no difference whatsoever, actually. It's whatever suits you.
Absolutely. I was just saying about the in-laws and the pressure there. What about extended family? What was that like for you? Did you have any boxes or expectations placed on you linked to your extended family?
Yeah, to be honest, the extended family, the majority of the time, quite positive towards my son because, like, he was the first grandchild, so there's all that excitement. There was a new concept for everybody. We didn't really have a baby in the house. So my dad would have him in his bed and feed him nuts, to be honest with you, pistachios, under the duvet. Luckily, he didn't have any nut allergies. That would have turned out very differently. But I don't know about you, but I don't think Asians think about nut allergies.
They don't. They just think it's love, let me just feed whatever.
Yeah, literally. But no, luckily he had no nut allergies. My dad loved his nuts. But there was that great bonding. It was nice for me to see the fun side to my dad and the fact that he showed him affection. So I didn't really see a lot of that affection of my dad or my parents when I was growing up. So seeing that them doing that to their grandchild, my child, that was really nice to see. My sisters would dote on him as well, except for one of my sisters. She would actually scream. She'd be living with my mum, and she would always scream from the stairs. I remember it was like, keep that noise down.
Oh my
Why is that
gosh.
baby crying? You know what? Karma's a good thing, because little
Yeah.
did she know she was going to get married a few years later, and she ended up with 3 boys, a very noisy household.
Yeah.
They were all football fanatics. So all that noise,
Oh,
carried
it
on to this day.
comes back around, doesn't it?
does. She still screams, keep that noise down, but he ain't keeping down.
I can imagine.
She's got years of that. No, they were good to my son. I think my mum still wanted to ensure that we kept with tradition. So
Right.
she kind of goes into the boxes that she wanted, basically.
Were these boxes based on your culture, tradition, or religion?
You know, it's a strange one. I would sort of say they all kind of blended as one.
Okay.
Even though it was probably religious based in terms of, for example, we left the baby over the weekend. One of the recommendations in Islam is to shave the baby's head and to give the weight of the hair in charity, so in the form of silver or gold.
Did not do that, did she?
She did. So when we left him, he had lovely hair. The boy looked like he'd just come out of prison.
Oh
Like, he had
my
shaved
gosh.
hair. Oh my gosh, we were like, what has happened
You
to our
must
boy?
have been so upset.
We were really upset. Well, we were like really confused to think, what's going on here? It was such a weird feeling. It's like she had taken something away from us.
Your permission, doing something without
our
your
permission, never even
knowledge,
asked us.
without your permission. You didn't even know this was going to happen. It just happened.
It just happened. We went to pick him up, and it wasn't even like a clean sort of shaving. It was all a bit itty-bitty sort of thing, because I knew my mum had done it. So, oh my gosh, she's just trying to force us to abide in her ways. So it was like, you know, for her, it was like, okay, well, you've broken out this box, but hold on a minute. I'm going to try and get you back in there and try to force. It's like too much someone trying to force you back into a tradition, a way of living that you try to get away from, basically.
You must have been furious.
I was furious. I was really furious. That wasn't very nice. And these boxes kept appearing. There'd be lots of compromises. We had discussions like circumcision, because obviously that was a big thing. And we'd have heated discussions. It's our decision whether we wanted to circumcise, and it should only be our decision and not theirs. So it was a bit of a constant battle, whether it should be done or shouldn't be done. And even though I made the decision to break out the box, there's always that doubt. But I wanted to maintain that relationship. So it was important that my children knew who the extended family were, you know, because I still had the belief that the more people that love a child, the better that child is in terms of growing up. But it did come at a cost. Right. Trying to break out of those boxes. So again, you're constantly trying to run away again. And then they're trying to reel you back in again. And you're trying to run away again. It was a constant battle in terms of their beliefs and what my beliefs were, which were very, very different. What was it like for you, Em?
So for me, again, those boxes around those customs more than religious based, and the traditions were very much being imposed by my in-laws. And it was customary for the family, friends and relatives to come and visit the baby within the first 3 months. There was that thing that we've gone to see so-and-so's grandchild, we've gone to see so-and-so's baby, we've given clothes, we've given money, so they're now going to come and do the same. So there was that expectation, be ready, this is what's going to happen. And majority of the time they'd plan it, and it would be very tiring in the first 3 months. I'm sleep deprived, I'm breastfeeding right at the beginning, and it was a really hard time for me personally, in terms of having to cater for these visits, which sometimes were unannounced as well. That I found very, very hard, but I felt like I couldn't say anything because it was a really clear expectation. This is just what's going to happen. There wasn't any negotiation. There wasn't any asking. It was, this is what you're going to do. This is a custom. This is a tradition that we follow. This is what's going to happen. So that was in place. It was really tiring. I'd be making tea in between going upstairs and breastfeeding and then coming down and pretending to be all sociable and everything with everyone. The good side of it was my house was full of flowers and cards, which was really lovely, but it was really hard. And I had the female in-laws who were constantly there. My parents didn't live near me, so my mom wasn't there, but I had the female in-laws there, and literally watching me all the time. Are you putting the baby on the breast properly? Are you doing this properly? Should you be doing that? And, just watching me like a hawk. So I
Yeah.
didn't feel relaxed at all. And because somebody else is in the house, it's not like I could go, right, the baby's sleeping, I'm going to go and sleep now. So I just felt even more tired and drained and not able to relax. But when I was upstairs, I was like, this is my time with my baby now, which was actually quite nice in between all of it. But yeah, that was really tough. That was one of the biggest boxes for me, the expectations of visits and the in-laws. And like I already said, with the breastfeeding, their comments, and again, trying to put me in that box where they got what they wanted out of it, but not putting the baby first. It was that I want to hold the baby, I want to see the baby, not what's good for the baby. So yeah, that was very interesting. And then going on to the husband as well, I would say the role of my husband was very interesting. I was a stay-at-home mum, and I was really lucky that I didn't have to work until the children went to reception. So 4 or 5 years old for both of them. I was really lucky to have that time. And because I was at home, the husband actually thought, because she's at home, she should be doing everything. She's with the new baby. She's at home. What is she doing? And I don't think there was an understanding of how much time a new baby takes, but also our bodies are recovering. Our hormones are changing, our bodies are recovering. And so there was no real understanding of that. And I literally had no time to myself. Being a parent is a 24/7 role, as we all know. And being a mom of 2 children under the age of a year and a half, nearly like twins, was even harder. And I got very little help from the husband. I was still required to make food for the in-laws that I had to go around their house to make, because I couldn't make it at my house because that's not their house. In between looking after both of the children, it was exhausting. And I think when my second child came home, it was a bit of a haze. So yeah, that was hard for me as well, because I felt very much like a single parent. What was the role of your husband in the care of your babies?
Yeah, to be honest with you, we had quite an equal role in terms of how we were and how we kind of sort of, raise the children. So he would be very much responsible for all the freshly cooked meals. So, we were quite big on kind of like making sure the kids actually ate really quite healthy, fresh cooked meals, as opposed to the ones that you get in the packets. We used the occasional jars for desserts because we didn't even have to do the desserts very well. But yeah, so he would be very good in terms of what types of foods to blend together. We would both do the nurturing together sort of thing. I would do it every day, like nappy changes, because I don't think he wanted to do the nappy changes and get the poo in his hands and stuff sort of thing. So he was like, that's not for me. But, do the foods, I think that was more his thing. He would know how much salt to put in. And, I didn't really want to go out every weekend, if I'm completely honest with you. I'll be like, no, I don't really want to go out this weekend. Let's just stay in. And hubby would be like quite insistent that we go out. It became very evident how important it was to have that break from motherhood. I don't think you really realise it because you're doing it 24/7. It takes a toll. My husband knew how important it was to have those breaks from motherhood and get out together as a couple and to remind ourselves who we were as individuals. It was good. I think hubby helped me a lot, I would say, in recognising who I was and differentiating my role from, yes, you are a mother, but you're also still you.
And a partner as well.
And a partner.
Yeah. And actually having that adult time and a way of recharging yourself to be the best mother that you can when you're in the mother role as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I was quite lucky that I was able to actually have that support with my parents, where I could actually leave the cares and actually go out.
Yeah, I don't think I had that at all, because I fell pregnant quite quickly straight after the first. And I sort of put myself in a box. So I was like, well, I'm pregnant. I was getting tired more, having one child already. And then when both of them were together, like I said, they're only 11 months apart. And one was in a special care baby unit for quite a few months as well. But when they were both home, it was like having twins. And I didn't feel that I wanted to have anybody else feel that huge responsibility of looking after
Yeah.
together. So
Yeah.
I didn't have that break, and the relationship wasn't great with the husband, and I felt a lot of guilt if I left. For example, I went to get my hair cut. I cried on the way to getting my hair cut because I was leaving my baby. So I was super over protective. And in hindsight, that wasn't really healthy for me, but I didn't know it
Yeah.
at the time. I was just
Yeah.
all about the children. What was it like with your second child, though? I mean, our first child, we were very much excited and scared. How was it different with your second child?
Oh my gosh, you're so much more relaxed. I felt I was so much more relaxed. You know
Yeah.
what? I would actually put my makeup on before I would actually. Because like, you can
Oh,
wait, just wait. So it
yeah.
was like, just go quickly put the washing on. Just wait. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it switched. My mindset has switched.
I was
Yeah,
definitely more relaxed because we feel more experienced after having our first child. So that gives us more confidence that actually, if I'm not there right away on beck and call, the baby's still going to be all right.
yeah. I think because I had the 5-year gap, so then it kind of helped acknowledging the fact that I can sort of see those baby years grow and all those little mistakes that you felt that you had made didn't really matter, basically. So when the second one came, it's just like, okay, you can cry a little bit longer and it's not going to harm you. I don't need to see you and have that attention on me 24/7 like I did with the first one, because it's not going to make that much of a difference. So she would literally be my accessory. She would be like, right, come on, little handbag, let's go. Like we got to do school run, let's run.
Love that.
Completely different mindset. But she definitely had a mind of her own, let's put it this way. So, you know, the first child is a pleaser, whereas I think the second child has more room to do what they want. And she was probably a bit more in tune in terms of my thinking. So whenever we'd be driving, like, yeah, I didn't realise I kind of spoke to myself. And she'd be like, are you talking to yourself? What are you saying? I'm like, oh my God, how did you
Oh,
get in my head? How did you hear that? It was really funny. And
yeah.
I didn't realise I was kind of like striving for perfection. So I would always have my bottles all in line and my cutlery all in line, all my makeup all in line and all different sizes. She would go in there and she would mess up all my drawers, just all the pens the wrong way, put everything the wrong way. And I would say, would you stop doing that? And she was like, but mummy, it's weird. She goes, you're being weird. She goes, stop it. And I think that she questioned me a lot and challenged me a lot, whereas my first never did. She still does, which is a
Yeah.
good thing.
She helped you to relax.
She definitely helped me to actually called me out, which
Yeah.
I didn't expect from a younger child to call me out, because she actually saw things that I was doing that I didn't really see myself. So all these insecurities she was really aware of,
Interesting.
isn't it?
Very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like these little beings. Like she was seeing into my soul. I was like, how the hell did you know that?
She was your third eye. Well, I would definitely say I was
funny.
more relaxed with my youngest. But because she was preterm, I just needed to keep more of an eye on her with her development and breathing. And I remember that she didn't like to be held so much and found it more enjoyable just lying in her carry cot or on the ground and just kicking around and playing. I think this was from just being on her own in an incubator for so long. And I had a lot of guilt about the fact that she had to be on her own in the incubator. Yes, I did go and see her, but I couldn't be there 24/7 because I had another child as well. I always felt that loss, that I didn't have that same bonding with her as I did with my first. And it was much slower. And I found that really emotionally quite hard. And the fact that I had two now, and they were very, very close in age. I'd have one on each knee or one on each arm. I'd have a twin pushchair, identical car seats. It was a constant thing of baby feeding, nappy changing, burping, washing clothes, repeat, and a lot to manage by myself. And I get it when people have twins or triplets. Wow, I take my hat off because it is a lot. But I loved it as well. I loved that time together. The eldest would love to help with the feeding, the bathing, holding her. She thought the youngest was like her toy, her baby doll. Because they were so close together, I really had to have clear routines to help me. Would you say that you had any boxes that you created when you had both children?
No, I mean, I was quite conscious that I created no boxes. So yeah, so I was just like, you know, I don't want any structure. I wouldn't actually have a bedtime routine. I wouldn't actually sort of feed them. You know how some parents actually, my sister did, she fed them at a certain time, she had to leave at a certain time, and I was just like, oh my God, that's like too much sort of thing. So no, I was just very conscious I didn't do any of that.
Yeah, I did have routines because with two like twins, I
Yeah.
needed those routines, being able to help them, and it created that structure and safety for them. They knew what was coming. It was really important that we had a clear bedtime. So they had about an hour and they'd have a bath together. It was really nice in that way. They'd have a playmate and actually have bubble baths together. Then we'd have our little massages, and then we'd have story time together and a bit of pillow talk. And I remember my mum used to do that with myself. I remember that was such a lovely time that we used to have our own little time to talk about things. So I continued that with mine as well. And that was really special.
Yeah, unfortunately, I did exactly the same in terms of like the bedtime stories. So this is something that I did with my siblings. I did that with the two. I would always sit there with them before bed and we would create stories together. That sort of reminded me of my childhood as well, in terms of like that motherly instinct I had back then. In a way, it was just me kind of letting them know that we all belonged together and
Yeah.
we had that special time together. I continued that with star charts. You know how kids have star charts?
Yeah.
Where you could rate them in terms of either cleaning or homework or how well they're doing.
You went into teacher mode, Z.
I was in teacher mode. I was like, man, we are a team here. This is like, we're going to create a team spirit. We're in here together. I would actually put myself down on that chart as well. And at times we'd put Hubby on that chart as well. And we would actually give stars to each other. So we would go round, say, okay, how did you feel you did on that? Okay, well, let's go around to see if there's consensus. Oh, we get included every single week. I get marked down every single time. I never got that gold star. My daughter made sure I never got that gold. She was like, no, I don't think you were that good. Whereas my son was like, no, you were perfect. I was like, thank you, buddy. She was like, no, you don't deserve a gold star.
Oh, she was hard on you. But I love that.
Hardcore.
That you got the children to articulate at such an early age and make them evaluate and think about things. That's a really lovely way of doing it. I would say that I gave them stickers, lots of praise, dancing, singing. Yeah. We did all of that sort of thing as a way of praising. It was really lovely. They really enjoyed that side of it. And like I said, then husband was absent quite a lot. So it really felt like it was us three together. We had that belonging.
Yeah. I often wanted them to understand that I wasn't perfect either, that I still had learnings and they could, we were all not perfect. If they didn't achieve something, that's okay, because I didn't achieve it either. So I think it was just trying to create that at a young age, that mummy's not perfect either.
We all make mistakes and we learn from them, the way of thinking, that growth mindset, thinking we don't have to be perfection is really important, isn't it, for children to know? Otherwise they start believing that only perfection is right. And so instilling that is a fantastic way of making sure our children know that from an early age, that it's about learning and learning from ours, isn't it?
100%.
One of the important things in motherhood is the impact on our mental health. How do you think motherhood affected your mental health?
Yeah, I find it quite difficult. I enjoyed motherhood in terms that it came naturally, but it was quite demanding and it is constant. I would get quite low in terms of my low moods. I would retract and turn into myself.
Okay. And what did you actually do to help you to come out of that?
You know what? I loved at the time in the 90s, Cindy Crawford.
Oh, yes.
So when I had my car accident, I lost a lot of blood and I had to regain my strength, I would actually turn to a Cindy Crawford Pilates video.
Great.
And that really helped me revitalise and build my mood up instantly.
Yeah.
And then throughout the years, I found other Pilates videos, particularly with like dumbbells. Anything with a weight or a dumbbell really, really helped. Even now, it's moved on from videos to DVDs through to YouTube. So anytime I felt that I was feeling a bit low, I would literally go in the other room, 30-minute Pilates with a dumbbell, and I felt so much better. Almost like instant revival. It was crazy. Exercise and movement for me really restored my mental health. I'm like really passionate about mind and body are so interlinked in that respect. It kind of got me back to an equilibrium where I felt so much better. And particularly helped with my posture. When you're with young children, you're bringing them in and out of pram, or in and out of car seat. Do your shoulders in, do your
And
back,
back.
and your core. If I'm completely honest with
Yes.
you, it really messes with your core. So Pilates really, really helped with all those posture
Yeah.
pains. Anyone who has like no knees, I would 100% recommend a Pilates
Yeah.
video or even a
Yeah.
Pilates class. If you can't get to Pilates class, YouTube is brilliant. It's 30-minute, 20-minute exercises.
Things that we can do at home is really
Yeah.
important because we're not all able to get out when we're at that stage, and helps with the mummy pouch, doesn't it? So it's
Yeah.
got lots and lots of benefits to help us to feel really, really good. I would say I probably did suffer with postnatal depression in retrospect. With my youngest, I think with my eldest, I was on autopilot, then I was pregnant. But with my youngest, the fact that I wasn't able to get that same chance to bond because she was in hospital. And then when they were both at home, having two young children with very little help from my partner and the sleep deprivation, I went through a time of feeling quite like a zombie, of just doing things on repeat. And it felt like I was going through the motions a bit on autopilot. So, yeah, I think that was a really tricky time for me. I also didn't really understand that that's what I was going through. I didn't have people around me. My partner, who could have picked it up, didn't pick it up either. I felt like I couldn't, and I didn't have me time. And I think that probably added to it as well. With two young children, I couldn't even have a shower until the husband came home from work. That was a
Oh,
bit of
wow.
time to be
Yeah.
able to look after myself and energize myself. And then as the children got a bit older, being able to take them out to parks, being in nature really helped me. I had a network of my peers and good company, and socializing with them helped me. And being able to talk about things, and our children played together. And so I had adult company, because I didn't really even get that when the husband came home from work, because he didn't really talk to me. We weren't going through a really good time. And it's so important, I think, when you've got children and you're doing that baby talk, or you're with children all the time, to have the adult company. And I craved it. So putting that in place helped my mental health. My friends were a godsend. Just picking up the phone. Sometimes we can't meet people necessarily, but just being able to speak to them, their understanding of being able to come round to me. My siblings helped a lot, was a godsend as well for me. So that is how I helped myself. And also the food I ate, I was really thinking about what I was eating to make sure that I was having nutritious food to try and help boost my mental health. It can be really hard in early motherhood, can't it?
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree. I wonder whether this could be a good point to where we now take reflection, as we do on every episode, in regards to what advice we would give to our younger self.
Okay, so Z, what would you say to your younger self?
Well, for me, I think this is like a really overwhelming time as there's so many changes. You'd be surprised with the expectations I feel that you're going to set on yourself without you realizing it. And the doubt that creeps on whether you're doing a good job or whether you're a good mum, or worse, are you doing enough? And I see that carries through for so many years. Am I doing enough? Have I done enough? But, I feel the advice that I would give is really communicate. If anything, over communicate how you're feeling to your partner. If you can't, to your partner, to your friends, family, or groups, as it can be really too much to really hold it and keep to yourself. And if you don't have people to turn to, then journal your feelings, write them down, and remind yourself what went well that day. You'd be surprised at the little wins that you've achieved. Little by little, those wins will mount up. And before you know it, and you're doing it really well. So, put aside your perfections. There's no such thing. There really isn't. There is you and a little human who honestly just wants your love and laughter. And you have those. We all do. And they're totally free. and are our disposal, and give as much as you can, because keep reminding yourself you are as good as you are. What about yourself? What advice would you give to your younger self?
I would echo everything that you've said, really, Z. Be kind to yourself is what I would say. And not only that, but listen to your baby. You know your baby. That baby was part of you. And those mother instincts, they're there. And you will instinctively sometimes know what's going to be right for your baby. And when you're following advice, yes, it's good to have all of that information, but you don't need to do everything by the book. Take cues from your baby. And there's no need to feel guilty about changing things when you know that it suits you, your baby. You know what you need to do for them for the best. And also considering it from a safety point of view. And the love that you have is instinctively there. It's also important to look after yourself physically, mentally, emotionally. And if we put our own oxygen mask on first, then we're able to turn up as the best mother, the best partner, the best person. And that means eating well and doing things such as being out in nature, having a network of people around you, like your friends, not feeling guilty about leaving your baby with people who are offering to help and accepting the help, knowing that your baby is going to be okay. You're not the only person that needs to be there all the time for your baby. And you have many years to support and love them as they grow into wonderful human beings and be their role model by taking care of you. Thanks for listening today. We would love it if you would click the subscribe button and add your comments and share with as many people who you feel would enjoy our discussions and stories.
We would so love to hear your stories, so email us anonymously or with your first name, any stories about being in the box and getting out of that box. Our email is in the link below.
We can't wait for you to join us next time, where we'll be discussing parenting teenagers. What happened? Were there more boxes? Join us to find out.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait for that next episode. I'm so excited.
I know, we have so much to share.